Welcome to the TALOS tutorial on SafeZones. The purpose of a safe zone is to create interlocks that prevent players from colliding on stage. A safe zone ensures a minimum distance between two trusses. If this distance is exceeded, TALOS will stop all motion to avoid a collision by executing a safe zone fault. Let's get started by navigating to Rehearsal and clicking Safe Zone on stage left. On the SafeZone screen, you will find several panels and controls. Let's look at the key components. The selected player panel houses the Create, Save, Delete, and Clear buttons. The first three allow you to create, save, and delete safe zones. The Clear button allows the user to clear any data that you have entered in the Safe Zone configuration panel. I will demonstrate this in a second. The interlock table displays all the players that are interlocked in the current show file. You can see we already have a safe zone set up. Let me click on it. The Safe Zone configuration screen is displayed, indicating one set of interlocked players with the safe zone set at 3 feet 2 inches. This means that when moving either or both players, if the positions of the players come within 3 feet 2 inches of each other, TALOS will issue a safe zone fault to all moving players, and all motion will be halted. Keep in mind that the positions are relative to the player's zero reference point. Each of these two panels will display all the players that the player is interlocked with. There are 3 ways to enter the safe zone distance. If you want to enter a distance directly, simply enter SafeZone 1, represented by the Z1 field. This is the only data field that is required. If you don't know the exact distance that two structures can safely be located to one another, the easiest way is to place TALOS in manual mode and manually move each player within a close proximity of each other, and select the Snapshot button, which will set the safe zone distance Z1 to the current distance between the two players. If you want it to be less than the current distance, you can use the keyboard to manually edit this distance. The third option is if you know the distance between the first player and the equipment hanging from it. We refer to this as the equipment distance, or EQ2. You must also enter the maximum distance permitted between the equipment and the bottom player, SafeZone 2, represented by Z2. TALOS will then automatically calculate SafeZone 1. You must select the Save button to save any edits. When the data is saved, it will update in the interlock table. Now let's create a new safe zone. First, I want to clear the data from this safe zone. It clears the zone type. Notice the Create button is disabled because I must first select a zone type. Currently, we only have one zone type, so I will select 2 players. You can follow the Info panel, which lists the steps on how to create a safe zone. Next, I will select the Create button. This is creating a placeholder in the database for the safe zone and adds a new row in the interlock table. It also enables player A pad, representing the bottom player. This allows you to assign a player by dragging and dropping it from the player tree. I want to create a safe zone between SL1 and Lights 1. I will drag and drop SL1 onto player A pad. Next, I will drag and drop Lights 1 on player B pad. I already know that I don't want these players to get within 5 feet 6 inches of each other, so I will type in 5 feet 6 inches in the Z1 field and select Save. The interlock table is updated. It is important to note that the Save button only saves the data to a local safe zone database. The show file must be saved as well. This is true of any configuration changes you make in TALOS. To delete a safe zone, select it and then select the Delete button. You must confirm that you want to delete it. It's important to note that groups cannot be dragged to a player pad. If one member of a group is interlocked to another player, all players in the group must be interlocked to avoid inconsistencies in speed, acceleration, and deceleration parameters when recovering from a safe zone fault. Let's take a closer look at the interlock table. It not only lists all of the safe zones configured in the current show file, but also indicates any safe zone faults. The color blue is its default state. This blue-gray gradient means that the interlock is selected and loaded on the SafeZone panel. The red text indicates that there has been a SafeZone fault that you must recover from before operating the system any further. I have loaded lights 2 on center stage. The interlock icon is blue, indicating that this player is interlocked with at least one other player. If you want to know which players it is interlocked with, you can right-click on the interlock icon and select Show Interlocked Players. A pop-up of all the players that this player is interlocked to is displayed. Now I am going to intentionally cause a SafeZone fault by moving lights 2 towards SL3 at a rate of 45 feet per minute. Notice that the interlock icon turns from blue to yellow, indicating that the player is in a slowdown zone. This zone is used with variable speed players, which can run at higher speeds. If they are approaching the SafeZone distance at too high a rate of speed, they may need to be slowed down first to stop in time. TALOS uses a slowdown zone to achieve this. Its position is based on the SafeZone distance specified by the user and the rate of change of distance between the two interlocked players. TALOS will change the player's speed to 8 feet per minute and adjust the deceleration time to 0.1 seconds if required. When the fault occurs, all motion is halted and the icon turns red. Let's take a quick look at how to recover after TALOS has halted all motion because of a SafeZone fault. If any of the loaded players experience a SafeZone fault, the recovery warning label will appear. TALOS must be placed in manual mode to recover from a SafeZone fault. The manual navigation button will blink as an indication to the user that recovery must be executed in manual mode. I am going to load lights 2 on center stage to bump it out of harm's way. The interlock icon has turned from blue to red, indicating the SafeZone fault. The direction that the players must move to recover safely is controlled by TALOS. The run button is replaced by a bump button, which sends a run command to the controllers for a specified time that was configured in settings. To move the players back into a safe condition, we must first clear all warnings and faults that occurred because of the SafeZone fault, then apply power to the player and arm it like you would normally do in manual mode. The only difference now is that the run button is instead a bump function. You don't have to hold it down to keep the command high. Just select it once to move. Again, this sends a run command for the specified bump time, which is currently set to 2 seconds. TALOS slowly moves players to a safe position. And that's it. You are now ready to create and manage SafeZones in TALOS. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Please like and subscribe.